Hey, what's up? This is Dawnna St. Louis here. And I got to tell you, there is a super ridiculously crazy valuable lesson that really needs to be learned. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you are in business, if you have to work with people outside of your own little fiefdom of your home, if you actually have to interact with another human being, there is a lesson that's being taught right now. And if you don't pay attention to it, you could very well miss it. So pay close attention because this lesson impacts your business. So I want you to really, really listen to this. You know, so let me say hello to a couple of people. Hi, Clyde, how are you doing? I'm so glad you can join, and everyone else who joined up. So a few days ago, I think it was last week, I'm not even going to pretend, but it was less than a week ago. Less than a week ago in Philadelphia, 2 African-American men were arrested in Starbucks for doing what most of us do, probably when we go to Starbucks. I know it's what I do. I order something. I might not order something. I might be waiting for my friends to join me. And then when they join me, I'll go order something. But basically, they were sitting. That's what they were doing, sitting. And they were arrested for loitering. And if you watch the video, and if you haven't watched the video, go look for it. I'm sure you'll find it. But I started reading the comments. Now you have to know, I've been a Starbuckian for years. In fact, I'll put it in the comments later, there's a video, and it's a pretty famously known video now that I did call The Starbucks Story. So if you Google my first name, Dawnna, and The Starbucks Story, you'll find this video. But here is a lesson that we're learning right now. So anyway, these 2 people were arrested, and if you started reading the comments, it was a straight up WTF moment. People had lost their mind. Even the woman who was sitting there watching, like, they didn't do anything wrong. They were sitting down. The crazy thing is Starbucks invites this type of behavior of coming in and sitting down. They are the first company that made their Wi-Fi free. They put couches in their stores. You know why? Because they know if you come in and you sit your ass down, then you're going to stay there. And after a couple hours, you're going to get hungry. And you know what you're going to do after that couple hours? You're going to order some more Starbucks. And of course, after I started reading the comments, people are like, that's why I hate Starbucks. They suck. They have no idea. They just straight on went on the attack. Starbucks was all of a sudden the most racist company ever. They were putting more stock into Walmart white sheets than anybody else on the planet. This was the worst company that anyone's ever heard of. In fact, their coffee sucks. Well, I hope that those people who are talking about the racism of Starbucks runs into the kitchen and grabs some shut the up cakes and stuff them in their mouth, because guess what? If you want to learn a lesson, today is the day to learn that lesson. Starbucks on May 29th is closing their stores for racial bias training. Let me be crystal clear. Starbucks ain't closing the Philadelphia store. Starbucks is closing their stores. Yes, their stores. They're closing their stores for racial bias training. Because at the end of the day, the one thing that they recognize is that this is completely, totally, and just inappropriate. They will not accept it. So I took a moment to actually pull this up, and I'm going to read it to you. Not the whole thing, but this is what I loved about it. Here's the first lesson that you learn, and it is a great lesson in leadership. It's also a great lesson, by the way, in negotiations. And I know people are like, what? Negotiations? I would have lost your mind. The number one thing that I teach people when I am teaching them sales and negotiation is I teach them there are 4 ways that you can respond. You can ask, and it's called asking the next best question. You can solve and defend. You can retreat. You can shift, or you can ask the next best question. Most of the time we see this. I mean, hello, Abercrombie and Fitch. Seriously, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. because Abercrombie and Fitch wanted to make sure that everybody looked like cheerleaders of a certain complexion out the front of their store. And if you didn't have quite the right look, your ass was put in the back. But Starbucks didn't do that. Starbucks didn't say, we're going to stand up and defend what we did. It was right. Because after all, the police came in. And if the police came in and arrested them, then it may have been right. Let me tell you something. Just because something is legally right does not mean it's morally right. There is a difference. And sometimes you have to stand up for moral rights beyond legal rights. Beyond legal rights. Check my arrest record. Anyway, this is what I read, and it totally made me just up the value of my Starbucks card. It says from the CEO, Kevin Johnson, I've spent the last few days in Philadelphia with my leadership team listening to the community. What's the first thing he did? He didn't stand up and say, we're right, they're wrong. He said, I listened to the community. That was number one. Learning what we did wrong and the steps we needed to take to fix it. While this is not limited to Starbucks. In other words, he's like, now look, we're not the only ones wrong, Philadelphia Police Department. Just saying. While this is not limited to Starbucks, we are committed to being part of the solution. Closing our stores for racial bias training is just one step in a journey that requires dedication from every level of our company and partnerships in our local community. Pause. So somebody said, that's all they doing. They're closing the store for a day. Do you know how much that's going to cost them? But let's pause. They're closing the store for a day. I mean, seriously, I'll be the first one to tell you, my speech might have an impact on your life, but unless you do something with it, it don't mean nothing. Unless you got to check back in, it don't mean nothing. It's just a speech. You got to take it to the next level. And you know what I love about them? Howard Schultz went on and said, our company's founding values are based on humanity and inclusion. We will learn from our mistakes and reaffirm our commitment to creating a safe and welcoming environment for every customer. And I'm going to tell you right now, I have been out in front of Starbucks for 3 hours with my two African-American black brothers that work for the police department, and we have talked for hours on end. You know how many times we were bothered? Yeah, counted as 0, probably because they both carrying. But anyway, but this is what I like. They started earlier this week the review of its training and practices to make important reforms. Here's the best part. They are developing a curriculum, and they're bringing in heavy hitters. Brian Stevenson, the founder and executive director of Equal Justice Initiative. Cheryl, I'm going to get her name wrong, but Cheryl Eifeld, president and director counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. Heather McGee, president of Demos, the former U.S. Attorney General, Eric Holder, Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. And you're like, okay, so they're just bringing some people in, Dawnna. So what? Pause. They're going a step further because not only are they going to do this, once the training is completed, the company will make education materials available to other companies, including their licensed partners for use in their leadership. And they're going to have these people come in and making sure that they monitor and review the effectiveness of the training that they take. Oh my goodness. Because I got to tell you, somebody hit me up the other day and told me, I saw your little Starbucks story about how Starbucks is the mom. What do you think of them now? Oh, now I just went and bought some more stock. That's what I'm thinking of them now. Because now they are setting an example. H&M. Pay attention. Abercrombie and Fitch, pay attention. If you listen, someone said they took too long to respond. I don't think they took too long to respond, because here's the thing. When you're asking the next best question, the first thing you have to do is make sure that you get the information. No, they didn't go on Twitter and tweet right away that we're so used to seeing. That's not what they did. They took the time. They made sure they had a good understanding of the situation. They asked the next best question, and then they came back. And when they came back, they made a decision. We are going to not only respond, we're going to respond in a way that is more than appropriate. More than appropriate. See, after they got through asking their questions, when they decided to come up with a solution, that solution knocked our socks off. So I stand with Starbucks. In fact, I'm going to go and buy my Starbucks right now. And I hope you're with me, because this is the type of example that we need to see from companies this size. We need to see companies this size showing you can set an example. And I agree. I don't think they took, Faye, I'm with you. I don't think they took a long time to respond at all. I think they responded in an appropriate way. Let me take that back. I think they responded in a more than appropriate way. They took the time to ask the next best question. Their leadership went to Philadelphia. Everybody's like, the girl should have been fired. Starbucks said, wait. We have a problem. We need to figure out why our people thinks this behavior is okay. It's not about firing an individual. That's the first thing we want to do, is put somebody out of a job. He's like, no, why would I fire her when I need to educate her on why this behavior is inappropriate? See, that's the first thing. Oh, she needs to be fired. No, she needs to be educated. She needs to understand that what she did was wrong and why it was wrong. And then Starbucks said, but if she thinks that's okay, then what are we doing wrong? And how do we fix that? That is a powerful response. And if you are going to respond to your customers on something, make sure that your response is not in line with their expectations. Blow their asses out of the water where they're going, damn. When Dawnna made a mistake, she came back more than right. Make sure that you come back more than right. Ask the next best question. Get all of the information. And then when you respond, knock their socks off. I stand with Starbucks. I hope you do too. That's my rant for today. See ya.